Thank you so much, Dr. Lewis. Greetings, everyone, and I'm glad to see you here this morning. And my responsibility and role here is to set the stage for where we are as a district, a bit of where we've come from, and a bit of where we are, and then looking at where we're going. As many of you know, the district was designated as unaccredited in January 2012. That was, as I shared in the meeting yesterday, it was a tremendous blow, not only to the school district, but to this community. And since that time, we've been laboring very intensively to move things forward and to stabilize this district and to bring to it the kind of quality that you would expect and that I expect. Before I begin into the presentation that I have prepared for you, I want to make sure that I acknowledge several key people that are here in the room that are involved with me and supportive of me in this endeavor. First of all, I want to recognize my board members who are here. Mr. Carl Evans, I see him there. Let's give him a round of applause. Sorry, Miss Marisol Montero. She's here right now. Let's give her a round of applause. Mr. Curtis Rogers is right here. You know him. And Mr. Joseph Jackson, who is here. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge members of my cabinet here. We're actually in dual duty today. We have a job fair going on at the sale, so some of them I assigned to go to the job fair there. But numerous members of my cabinet are here, and I'd like for them to stand, and let's give them a round of applause. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty of where we are as a district. This presentation is broken up into three phases. The first phase looks at the operation of the district, the operational stability of the district. And you'll see as we go through, some of you have copies of the handout there, of what that looks like, but I'm going to talk about some highlights as it relates to that. The second phase looks at the academic side of the house, and where we've been, where we are, and where we're trying to go. And then the third phase looks at a more of a visionary look at what I think is needed, and speaks to what Dr. Amusa was referring to as the opportunity and the challenge first, but the opportunity embedded within that challenge that we must face. So let's dive right in. And this is an abbreviated presentation that we had given to the state just last week. So as we look at in areas of business, finance, and operations, this is what we look like as a district in snapshot. This outlines our cash balance. You'll see the various areas here that are highlighted. I hope they're more clearly outlined in your handout there. Our building corporation, our compensated absences, our student activities, etc. Probably the most important thing here, though, is the operating balance. This is a balance that we keep and we want to maintain at a reasonable level to be able to support the district. If you look across here, this looks at this breaks down, I'm going to square it off right here, August 2012 year. This looks at us from January to June and what our operating balance was at that time. And some of it's been cut off here, so I apologize for that, but hopefully it appears on your screen there. If you look over to the left, from here over, if you look over to the left, you'll see we're comparing years, July, August, September, October, November, December, 2012, 2013 being compared. But the thing to see here is that we have kept, even at the lowest level, a sizable operating balance. That protects this district from any emergencies and things that may arise. What I would like to say is we've done our due diligence, we've done our work in this area to maintain a healthy operating balance all the way over the last several years, and we will continue to do that. If you look over here on the right-hand column, you will see in terms of our comparative analysis here with revenue and expenses, and you will see that the blue representing revenue, the red representing expenditures, and you can see what we looked like in 2009, where we're slightly above, our revenue did exceed our expenses. We will want to continue in that vein, fairly close to 2010, 2011. You can see the relationship between revenue and expense, and these are actual. And you can see in 2012, we grew and kept a larger revenue balance coming out of that year. What's not present here is the red bar that's on the other side of this. It's in your handout there, but this is equal, but this is the budget year we're in right now. So we're right on course with where we are with our revenue and expenditures. Then we look at the meter readers that are at the bottom of the bottom of the screen here. Our compensated absence obligation. One of the things my CFO is proud to say, and he says it very often, is that while most districts do a pay-as-you-go in terms of compensating for sick days and for vacation days, etc., we're able to do that because we have a healthy cash balance, and we're able to do that up front. And we do not have to do a pay-as-you-go situation with that. Our debt ratio, we don't really have a debt service situation, but if we did have a debt service based on our building corporation relationship, our debt service would be at 2%. The ceiling for that, the limit is 15%. So we're well under in that area. We do, and this allows us to do some kinds of things that we are looking to do in terms of our capital projects and some other kinds of areas. One of the things that our CFO, Mr. Al Tunis, has said, that we are not a rich district, but we are not a poor district. We are a stable district. So this district is fiscally sound, and because it's fiscally sound, it allows us to do some things on the academic side of the house that many districts that are struggling financially are unable to do. We are able to prioritize our resources, we're able to reallocate resources, and focus on teaching and learning when we do that. Our fund balance is indicated right here in terms of where we are. The black representing where we've been. This looks like this is more so where we are. But we want to keep a relationship like this, a 24-25% fund balance that's outlined right here. Looking further at this chart in terms of our investments, as you can see, in both in securities and money market, and also looking at the repurchase areas. If you look across here, particularly, this is as of the blue is as of 2000. It's 12/31/2011. The red is 12/31/2012. But at the end of the day, what you can see is this line right here, the total, that we're growing in our investments over time. It's 118 million right here. We're growing in our investments here. We had a repurchase situation here, right to the right side, and then we've grown up over here. If you look at our revenues and expenditures over time, again, with an improved budget, this represented, the gray representing 2012, the red representing 2013. And I'll let that speak for itself. As you can see where we are with our approved budget, and you can see where we are within the budget, operating within the budget, in 2013 and 2012. If you look over the right-hand side, you're looking at actuals now, year to date. And this is where this is the way we are proceeding right now in this budget year. Is that correct?
Correct.
One of the things that we are constantly, I call us Audit City. I've never seen so many audits. We've been audited. We have external audit. I'm glad we did external audit, but we just finished a round of audits. Who was auditing us? We had our ELL department, closely monitored audit. We had our special ed department, closely monitored audit. We had a MOSIG audit. We had a math audit. And we this fall we had our financial audit. But one of the things that I think that is an indicator that this district is fiscally stable. This is where we were in 2008. This is the number of findings the external audit found. This is 2009, number of findings. These are beyond what they call the deficiencies, but they actually register in kinds of things that auditors really see as severe problems. This is what we had in 2010. This is what we had in 2011. This is last year. Well, really this fall. 0 audits. 0 findings. I think it's another indicator that this district is fiscally stable, fiscally sound. This is an area we want to continue to grow as our student activity fund. You can see that it was fairly healthy. We took a dip in the distributions, but as you can see, we're having an ending balance, and we want to continue to keep our student activity fund. This is for our sports and many of our other extracurriculars, and we need to continue to grow this. And if you're talking about an area where we need probably a great deal of assistance, is in working the kind of resources it takes to debate team and other kinds of extracurricular activities where students tie themselves emotionally and tie themselves to the school. And it's a very close connection between a student who's involved in extracurricular activities and their academic achievement. And so we are not in a position sometimes to provide the transportation. We're not in a position for a debate team to go various places, or for some of our dance teams, or for our bands, etc. We need help in this area. This here just looks at the tax revenues and redirected tax revenues. And you know of TIF, and I think this kind of speaks for itself. TIF here, abatement, and the total. This is something that's a challenge for us. And it's a challenge for this community, hopefully, as well. But that's $27.5 million that's redirected from the district to encourage economic development. And let me go on record as saying this. We understand the concept of TIF, and we appreciate and really want to participate very aggressively in drawing businesses here, because I think it helps the entire community. We do think, though, it's a bit out of proportion with regard to the amount that is redirected away from the district. And we don't see, and when these get amended, they get amended out, and so we don't see in the ideal situation, once the business establishes itself and comes into the city, some of these resources get directed back to the school district. That has not been happening to any degree of magnitude. So we want to have a conversation, courageous conversation around that. A courageous conversation around what TIF is doing to the school district. And here again, you can see the redirected through incentive programs, the blue representing 2001, the yellow representing 2011. Trying to change the color on me, wouldn't it? Looking at our debt service, remember before, we don't have an official debt service like many other school districts, but we do have to operate within our means, and we still have a debt limit. These are neighboring districts and where their debt service is. Center, Hickman Mills, Raytown, Liberty, etc. Here's where we are. If we had, we would probably have a little bit, that 2% I told you earlier, if we had a debt service scenario, 2% compared to our neighbors. Signs of stability. In the area of operations, and some of our colors have changed as we've transferred this, but in any event, in terms of the work order completion time, this is something that our executive director of operations looks at very closely. This was where we were in 2012. Here's where we are in 2013. Here is the industry standard. We were very closely with the Council of Great City Schools. And this is what the industry standard is. This is where we are in terms of completion time. This is not what we want it to be. In fact, I've heard the executive director of operations, Mr. Darryl Marsh, say he wants to cut this in half. As you look down on the left-hand side, we look at maintenance costs by square foot. Here is where we were in 2012. Here's where we were here in 2013. Here's the industry standard. Look over the right-hand side in terms of cost per square foot. This is in our open buildings. This is where we were in 2012, 2013. Moving in the right direction. Not there yet, but moving in the right direction. We got a little bit of a challenge here with water, because here's where we were in 2012, here's where we are in 2013. Our executive director tells us that water main breaks and some other kinds of things, the drought may have affected this. But we've got work to do in this area. One of the things that we've done to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars is to bring a lot of our legal services in-house. Our chief our chief legal officer is right here, am I right? And he's proud of the fact that when you look at this transition where we were in 2009, and you start to look at legal service, fringe benefits, outside counsel, etc., particularly this outside counsel one, and you trace that across, and it got this high, close to 4 million. But then you look where it is right now. Good stewards of taxpayer dollars. Let me put you in context where we are academically as we shift to academics. We've been working through the various cycles. They call them MSEP 1, MSEP 2. That stands for the Missouri School Improvement Plan. And every year we go through, or not every year, but every so many years we go through a cycle. We've been through cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, cycle 4, and now cycle 5 is in play, but it's in a draft form. These are the categories in which MSEP, the state, looks at school districts and makes a decision about accreditation. This is where we've been. This is our history of making out of 16 areas. The 16 designated areas, 14 designated areas. There's 16 on the screen here, but two of them are not in play with what the state actually uses. Out of the 14 areas, this is where we were in 2006. Out of 14 areas, this is where we were in 2007. This is where we were in 2008, 2009, 2010. This was 2011 when we reached an all-time low, and the commissioner, given the instability of the district with regard to leadership as well as the drop from here to here, made a decision to designate us as unaccredited. If we read another column right here, it would be at 5, and within 3 points of 6. We haven't been at 5 since 2007. And so as we make our push, and I project to you that we're going to make a very strong push toward provisional accreditation this year, not next year, but this year, we have the laser-like focus as a district to make improvements. So and let me just take you through the chronology. August 2011, this district loses its leader. The announcement is made shortly after that in 2012, January 2012, the district would be unaccredited. The district was bleeding. It was hemorrhaging and destabilized at that time. So my goal was to make sure we stopped the bleeding between August 2011 and January 2012. Then in January 2012, the focus was on how much could we actually, once we had to go through a change in leadership, not only just leadership at the top, not only did Dr. Covington depart, but others left. We rebuilt the team. How much of a push could we make toward regaining at least provisional accreditation status between January 2012 and really April 2012 when the assessment is given to students? And what we found out was, even with the turmoil, even with the turbulence, and this is why Dr. Musa, as you were talking about that, even when times are tough, even when the odds are against you, we moved the needle, not only just from 3 to 4, but from 3 to 5, and really, you'll see in the data that I'll put up here in a minute, almost 6, almost doubled within 1 year's time. Now we got this year, we got a full year run without a lot of change, without a lot of instability. We got a full year's run. And we are very optimistic about the way we're going to progress this year. So let's look at, these are the areas that we made progress in. And of the 5 areas that they looked at. And let me just say this right now, MSET 4 has been retired. The system that they used, and I felt, I'll be honest, I was very disappointed because we were approaching at least a milestone or a goal, and then all of a sudden they dropped it, and now they've come up with another one. We're within 3 points of provisional accreditation, and now they're saying, no, that's no longer in play. Now we're going to go under MSET 5, and now all the, but to credit to my team here, and credit to a number of other people who mentored me, we didn't get discouraged or distracted by that. But in the advanced courses, our students enrolled in advanced courses, enrollment and participation in career tech ed courses, college placement courses, career tech placement, and then the bonus, the math bonus. Some people have said out in the community, I want to clarify the record right now that, well, I've heard this. They improved, but it's only in the operations side. It's only the operations that improved, but the academics, they made no improvement. That's not right. Well, they improved in the academics, but it wasn't really in terms of student performance on assessment. It was about participation in, but let me just clear the record straight right here. These 4 are participation. Enrollment advanced courses, tech ed courses, so on. But this one right here, these are our subgroup areas, are Latino, African American, ELL, special ed, and you have to improve in academic achievement in 4 of 6 areas to get this bonus point. So I dismiss anyone saying you did not improve in academic achievement. Here's what it looks like in numbers and cents. Here's where our MAP index points were in 2012, school year 2012. You look over here on the far right-hand side, these are the areas we did not make it. These are the 5 areas, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just something got cut off here, but there should be another level here. The screen's where you cut it off. But there'll be 5 areas here where we did make it. There's 1 down here that's being cut off. And there are 14 areas here. We improved in 10 of the 14 areas. We didn't make the target, but we showed significant improvement. And this is the one that we almost made. Within 3 points, we almost made the 3 through 5 mathematics. But this system now is retired. And now it's about looking at 5 major categories: student achievement, subgroup achievement, the CRR, which is career college readiness area, and also looking at graduation rate and attendance. There's 5 areas now. You got 140 points you got to get to be perfect.
Can you repeat those 5 areas?
Overall student achievement, subgroup student achievement in terms of test scores, career and college readiness, which deal with the courses, etc., graduation rate, and attendance rate. Those are the 5 areas under MSET 5, and the maximum is 140 points. In order to get provisional accreditation, 50% or 70 points you need to have. We as a district are 27.5 points. However, I hope they didn't figure that out. And this has gotten cut off by anyway, these are the areas. Somehow they got cut off by the way the screen. These are we break these areas down in terms of ELA, math, science, social studies. Ag represents your student achievement area. Then you have a subgroup inside of this. Then you have your attendance, your college and career readiness right here, your graduation rate. This is what we project. And Ms. Vicki Barillo, she attests to that, as she is our numbers person in this area. These are the points we think we will yield under MSET 5, and we project we will come out somewhere between 75 and 79 points against the 140 points, which would make us eligible for provisional accreditation. We are on focus. We are on target. We're in full court press mode to reach this by August 2013. Let me just hover there a little bit too, because this was a game changer for us. Changing the rules in the middle of the stream. It happens. I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that they were doing just to get Kansas City. Even though my first reaction probably was, what? We just got this, step 4 down pat. But credit to this team, credit to the staff. What we did was roll up our sleeves and dig deep. And not only did we dig deep, we stepped in the pocket of the State Department. We got right in their hip pocket, and as they're drafting, because this is still a draft, MSTEP 5 is still drafting, we got right in their hip pocket, and we're going to understand the metrics and the calculations and where we need to get points and where we can't get points out of this, and we are prepared to make a strong push for provisional accreditation this fall in 1 year. Let me talk a little bit about the future that lies ahead, because as Dr. Lucy said, we met yesterday and I talked about this. We have got to move as a district, but all the work that we're doing right now is remediation work. Remediation work takes a lot more money. It takes a lot more energy. We've got to move from a state as a district and as a community from remediation to readiness, whether that's kindergarten readiness, whether it's high school readiness, college readiness, career readiness. We've got to work ourselves out of this scenario. But with students who come to us 2 and 3 grade levels behind, the moment they hit the door, we are in remediation mode. We got to catch them up. We're in a desperate attempt to catch them up. So the bigger challenge that we face, but the bigger opportunity we face, is, as I see for this district, is in universal pre-K. We've got to start not only at we're 3 and 4 year olds, but I think we need to start at prenatal, really. We need to start there, but that's an expensive endeavor. That is something that this district cannot do by itself. I'm going to show you here what we are capable of doing as a district, but that falls within serious limits of what needs to be done. And what has to happen is the same kind of thing that's here in this room, is a galvanizing of community together in order to get this done. Let me just run through this pretty quickly. These are students. This is our enrollment, 3rd grade. This is communication arts enrollment. And these are their performance on math scores in communication arts. This represents students who did not go through our pre-K or Head Start program. So you have advanced, proficient, basic, below basic. They did not go through our program. They may have gone through some other program or no program. This represents students who went through our early childhood program. This represents students who went through our Head Start program. This represents students who went through our Montessori program. But if you look across the board in terms of advanced, look across the board in terms of proficient, and we're not great. We've got work to do too. Look across the board in terms of below basic, and look across the board at basic and then below basic. Let's look over at math. Third grade math. This means looking how they're performing. These are students who did not go through our pre-K program, or they went through some other program outside of us. This is early childhood, Head Start, Montessori. These students have gone through one of these, they'd be better off. Fourth grade, same thing. Communication arts is reading, writing. Let's just look at proficient. Look along the line of proficient. Follow it. Being in these programs does make a difference. Let's look at enrollment. One of the things we were concerned about, or even the board was concerned about, how many students actually who go through our pre-K, our kindergarten program, are retained. On average, about 62-63% are actually retained in the Kansas City Public Schools. Others may go to private schools, but others may go to other charter schools, etc. Those of you in the community who know Mr. Jerry Kitson, we just hired him to spearhead our early childhood initiative. His sole purpose is to build out our early childhood program. He's about the business of doing that now, and he has broken that into 3 phases. But the first phase he wants to focus on are these critical areas. These 10 major areas that affect not just the math and the science and the social studies and the communication arts, literacy, but also he has keenly educated us, and we need to understand as a community that this plays a very, very important role. Not only students need to come to school academically ready, but this takes a look at their other non-academic, but their social well-being, their health, their mental health, their social-emotional health. And this particular area, this social-emotional area, is critical. Because in the urban core, there's a great deal of violence, there's a great deal of maternal trauma that our students go through. And helping them work through that, in addition to the academic rigor, is a significant challenge. This social-emotional piece. And we can tell the story. I mean, I don't want to get into a whole lot of detail, but you all know the young man, the barber, who was killed at 31st and Troost. His son is in our pre-K program. What do we tell him? And the teacher began a dialogue with kids about, well, when he comes back, he's going to be feeling bad, and we're going to need to help him feel better about himself and what's going on. Don't you know that in the course of that discussion, there were 5 other kids in the room that also had parents that were killed or relatives that they saw killed? That affects learning. That affects a child. How do you help them work through that? One of the things that we have picked up on is that we can have a positive effect on students looking in these 10 domains. These are students that were in our program. This is where they started in a kind of a pre-test. This is where they were at mid-year in terms of this area of their physical health and development, and this is where they finished. This is where they started in terms of that social-emotional one. This is where they started with us. This is where they were midway through. This is where they were when they finished. We can have some impact. And we can play it on out in all the different domains. There are 10 different domains. This looks at the other domains in terms of the literacy and the science and the social studies and the math, etc. Where they started, midway, where they finished. Where they started, midway, where they finished. So we think we can do something. We don't say we have the total answer. We have a lot to learn. We've got to clean up our own house in a lot of areas with regard to pre-K, which we have Mr. Kitson working on. Phase 1 is to strengthen the core of what we're already doing. Phase 2 is going to branch out further to expand our work. So this just takes a look at, this is a school, an actual school. This is an actual school, red, of measuring these domains. This school had 5 students that had severe social emotional problems. and their problems affected the entire class in the school. And part of it was not the child's fault. Part of it was we've got to do a better job in teacher preparation to meet up with the challenges that students come to us with. Because the teachers here said we were not prepared to see the severity that we saw with those 5 children, and we started to focus on them, and therefore were not as able to work with the others who had need as well. We're going to need help, and we're going to need community partners. There are challenges that our students face that exceed our expertise. They need clinical, psychological assistance. And so what we're leading toward is a community-based approach. And I'll get to that in a little bit, but again, here's a statement: by ensuring excellent early learning and support for every child, I'll emphasize every child, as the foundation of a world-class cradle-to-career education system, we will guarantee American success in the 21st century. Help. Metropolitan area. There are 50,000, some of this got cut off. There are 50,000 in the metro area, children under the age of 5. This got cut off here, but only 25% of them, this is what it would say on your sheet there, only 25% of them receive a quality early childhood education experience. And this just says that there was a time when Missouri used to ban the focus on early childhood. Maybe you probably remember that, but that's changed now, and we're glad for that. I don't want to harp on that. It's part of the past, because we still have to deal with it. Preschool children in high-quality programs make greater gains than their peers in low-quality programs. Children in low-quality programs actually lose social, emotional, behavioral skills. So when we talk to Mr. Kitsy, and we have a roundtable discussion about that, and he brings up the cliche, some people will say something is better than nothing. If it's a poor quality program, then something is worse than nothing, is what he's laid out to us. We get that. Children in lower quality programs actually lose, and then the ability to self-regulate for crucial school readiness. Children who start behind, stay behind. Children who kindergarten knowing their letters. We've heard that literacy, that Lexile piece. One student comes in with 400 words in Lexile, another student comes in with 4,000 words in Lexile. What's going to happen? These students are 3 times more likely to read and understand simple sentences by the end of first grade. 88% of first graders with reading difficulties will still have reading difficulties or problems by the end of the 3rd grade. Of those, 74% will be poor readers by 9th grade. More likely to drop out, more likely to choose paths marked by crime, poverty, or poor health. This is a community matter. This is not a school district matter alone. School districts involved in it, but this is a community-wide problem. And we have an opportunity to address that. In terms of the return on the investment, high school graduate contributes more than $270,000 to the economy over the course of his or her lifetime. A high school dropout costs $300,000. Academic success as defined by high school graduation can be predicted with a reasonable accuracy by knowing someone's reading skill at the end of the 3rd grade. A person who is not at least a skilled reader by that time is unlikely to graduate from high school, and you all know where the rest of the story goes. You've already heard that they're actually building prisons on the basis of what that data point tells us. We want to address these barriers: limited vocabulary, maternal stress, violence, early, our English language learners, and the chronically children being chronologically read. I just want to share with you what we are looking at as a district, and hopefully you will join with us in a movement. Not just a program, not just an initiative, but a movement. The Office of Early Learning has 3 goals. One, it wants to strengthen the school. That's cleaning our own house, doing what we do better. Then we want to consolidate the existing sites, and then we want to expand enrollment. This is part of our goal by August 2014. Right now, we're currently serving 1,000 students, 50 classrooms, 18 schools. And this map here just outlines where the early learning programs are spread across the city. Here's what we're looking at in phase 1. Kansas City Public Schools is going to do its homework and contribute to this early childhood piece by strengthening its core, putting the right caliber of teachers before our students, reaching out for community support. We're going to work closely to address the 1,000 students that we currently serve a year. And we're going to expand that in phase 2 by consolidating sites. One of the sites we're looking at, for instance, is Woodland, and actually housing the early childhood center in a school, and then having community service providers and partners take up residence in that facility, whether it's a satellite office or a headquarters office in that facility. Social workers, psychologists, medical, dentists, etc., so the family can come there and actually receive services as their child is receiving an early childhood education experience. That is our goal. So we're going to consolidate, expand, and then move to serve as many as 1,500 students. So we're looking at a community school model, working with existing elementary schools and putting pre-K programs in them and Montessori schools, and we want to move to a level of serving 1,500. That's an expansion. Now, the problem is there's 6,000. The problem is there are 6,000 students that need to be served in Kansas City, Missouri area, catchment area. So the gap between the 1,500 and the 16,000, somebody's got to step in the gap. Not just somebody, but a lot of bodies got to step in the gap. So we're going to use our funding from Head Start, some of the money we receive from the state, and parent copay on a sliding scale to try to get there. Looking at Woodland, we're seriously looking at this school. We've already, and Mr. Kitsey has already begun to work with these partners. These are some of the folks that will take up residence inside the school and begin providing services. We need other partners. YMCA, this is a pool, so I can't tell you, I'm tired of reading about our young people drowning over the summer because they don't know how to swim. YMCA has a very good deal of expertise in aquatics. They're going to take up residence inside the facility and work with us, and we're going to have aquatics programs. But we've also talked about it in terms of the food desert, Mr. Councilman Wagner. We've talked about looking at this area right here in terms of having food grown and distributed to families in need and students. And I can't tell you all of them. Mr. Kitsey, he is a magician. He's moving around, and he's got people on the radar screen he's talking to. Can't hit Warren Buffett. I mean, he's talking to people who can help us. And so he's got his tentacles in a lot of different places. And we're thankful for him because he's going to work in this area. But we cannot do it alone. Phase 3 is how do we address the bigger issue? And this is 3 and 4-year-olds. How do we serve all 6,000 3 and 4-year-old students within the KCPS boundary? That's what we need to do. And I'm prayerful. I am prayerful that despite various differences, whether that be political, whether that be religious, but despite various differences, we can come together. We can come together as a community and build the kind of support that would support these 6,000 students and expand and have a quality early childhood experience so they come to the door of school kindergarten ready, so they go on for middle school readiness and go on for high school readiness and go on for college readiness and go on for career readiness. Cradle to career is what we're after as a district, and that's the long-term proposition that we would like to put before you. Again, the gap is here. How do we get from here to here? I think we can do it as a community, faith-based, philanthropic, civic, political. We can all come together. If we were trying to do it on our own, this is what it looked like, and it's impossible. I don't even know why I put this up here. Isn't that right? Because this is beyond our reach by ourselves. And we don't want, we have no capacity to do it by ourselves. That would be 250 classrooms, $150 million just to serve all. But we can't do it. We need, this community needs, the children need. This is what lays out the dollars. Can we do that? I think we can do that. I'm going to read through this here to serve. This is what we're going to do to serve the 1,500. I'll leave you with this. A couple of times, one must take a position that is neither safe, politic, popular. We must take it because conscience tells us it's right.